Good evening, everyone. My name again is Joanna Ramirez, and I'd like to share about the Melchizedek, Melchizedek theophany about the terminologies. So there's many terminologies, and actually there's six types or terminologies about the Melchizedek theophany because Melchizedek is got an example to be a good example of an uh, full about the manifestation of God. So the terminologies is first the theophany. So first is like the theophany. So why do we do like example of terminology at theophany? Because the terms of theophany is, for example, that is about God. First of all, God is about God's manifestation and visual or audible. So in second is about the theophany that is about the theophany body. This is for about the God, and this is about the God's manifestations of about appearance. This is about the appearance that was represent the temporary or permanent or the God's manifestation. So and uh, third is the direct theophany. For the direct theophany, actually this is the two example of uh, theophany or two types of theophany. You can please erase. So the examples of the direct theophany is like the angel or man speaks in the first person or of God as thought he is God. So for like is example, um, direct theophany is just a manifestation from God that actually have the first person. It has actually the third person. So the first person is the called direct theophany. So that means we are talking about the temporary or the permanent theophany. So and for number four, the fourth one is that which we call the indirect. For the opposite of the direct, uh, indirect indirect theophany. So for the indirect theophany, that is we call like also the angel or man speaks but in the third person. So that was they're mentioning God's or mentioning God's apart from him. So that means that is not for the first person, but actually it was from representing the indirect theophany is representing the a message of God. It's like a as an example like a messenger of God like that, or if or like improvising that the God was speaking to them and they will message it to the other people. So and number five is of course the Melchizedek as we topic today. So Melchizedek is a good example of this. So Melchizedek character is actually a melech or is the meaning of Greek king, and Tzaddik is just or righteous. It means that he was fullness and I mean he was anointed by God and he was righteous. So and for six, that is the one that he handled, that is for Salem. For Salem. So this Salem is Shalom for Hebrew and Salaan for Arabic. So that means is peace. So the primitive name of Jerusalem was actually translated the word before it was settled by the word Jebusites or renaming it as Jerusalem. So that is a contrast to traditional concept. So if we go to about the direct theophany and indirect theophany, we will go first in this third one. So this is the direct theophany, as I explained earlier that the direct theophany is like we are talking about the temporary and the permanent. So that if we go to the basics so we can understand fully we can fully understand the meaning of direct theophany and indirect theophany, so first we need to know the temporary and the permanent. So, the temporary and the permanent. The temporary is the first example. Many has it in Old Testament. There's so many people that are servants of God that has a temporary theophany, and the permanent theophany, as we can say, that's we call Jesus Christ. So the direct theophany, as I said earlier, that the angel man speak in the first person. So when we say the first person, that means he's including himself as a God, but he is not the actually God. So because God is the spirit, so he needs to act, or we say the word act, he needs to include himself as a God or the first person. Like he needs to pretend, or he needs to act like a God. So, and also the importance of necessarily of having speaking as the first person. So the indirect theophany is that we call the third person, and the indirect theophany is yes, third person that are speaking. It means that, for example, you were the one who's speaking, but uh, God God gave a message to you, and then you will represent that it was God, it was from God, and you will not include yourself as that Himself by you. So that is the direct and indirect theophany. So the direct theophany is the good example of this. I mean, the one who has the direct theophany is, for example, Jesus Christ. Yes, Jesus Christ. So the Bible can explicitly show if a direct theophany or God Himself speaking or an indirect. So that means the theophany is wherein is the position of the Son of God, that is Jesus Christ, and that He is high priestly office interceding between God and man. So this theophany is actually connection of the God and man, because as we can say, God is a spirit and He cannot just talk directly to he cannot talk directly to some humans or people, so He needs to use angels, His Son of God, and the one He used in the servants of God or in the ministry. So that has anointed ones. Like MElCHIZEDECK, he has a theophany and he's righteous. So that's the one God's used for the manifestation to add direct or indirect talking to humans. So because human has sins, so this God's manifestation can be empowerment of an individual and can be used as a prefigurement of Christ. So the understanding of Melchizedek is God also comes from the like oneness understanding. So God can acting like a priest in Trinitarian God, or even also act like a priest, or even but we learn from the Godhead that whatever Jesus Christ can do is because it's the Father, Son, because of the Father. So He needs to act. And there's the other so that it's actually about the God actually the God is the figure, the foreshadow. So when it says that there's in Old Testament says that I am a father of Abraham, Jacob, and Isaac, and if the angel spoke in the first person, it was God directly speaking to him, and then he not representing, because God is actually the one who's speaking to him. So in Hebrews chapter 7 verse 5 say, without father, mother, beginning of days, they are not literally. That's what Holly says is only represent of the appearance. So that means that according to the Jews, he was wait. I mean, he was then in the genealogy. There's a long story in the time of Noah, but we can talk about it. So, I mean, it was but actually Melchizedek name was translated into other name that he was become Melchizedek. So there's an original name that was represent. So because he is anointed one, he was a new person at all. So Jesus Christ is an anointed, called himself a son of God, and also the servant of God, and the one who is actually the one indwell in God. So now I realize there's no contradiction because it's just that we came of the traditional belief. So Melchizedek also is part of the traditional belief. So the concept of the traditional beliefs. So I want to show that the reference that we found on First Melchizedek in Hebrews chapter 7 verse 3 is almost everyone uses Hebrews chapter 7 verse 3. So we will gonna explain it as the basis that he is God, but the person who he is not actually God. He was just anointed one. So in this verse is many people have to fail and realize, not realize is just in the half of verse that the verse is covered. The exact verse is saying was made like the Son of God, abided the priest continually. So he's not the actually God, but it's just theophany. So there's many people saying that in Old Testament or even in New Testament says that why he need to, is he actually a human or is he actually a god, like that, is he actually an angel? So many fail to understand about the Melchizedek theophany. So for my last discussion is to about the types and shadows. So we talk about the terminologies, and now we will talk about the types and shadows. So biblically, there are types of never greater than anti-type, or the one being type, and the anti-type or the one being type should always be greater than the one being type. So or at least equal. So if the Melchizedek person is actually a person or not priesthood, is the type, he should not be greater than Jesus Christ the person, because he's not there's a people or there's a person, as we say, the one who was up, yes, they are righteous and appointed, but if we can, if we compare Jesus Christ, he should not be a greater than Jesus Christ, because Jesus Christ is greater, I mean Son of God. So the anointing of without father, mother, or descent least beg of days and end of life. Without beginning or in the end means we came from the unexpressed logos co-eternity and coexist as part of the Father. So that um that story or that line of flows in the stories or invent the happiness of the theophany. Theophany bodies, terminology, and typing shadow is actually come from, it was happened already in the mind of God. So it was uh I mean nakalaan. I mean yeah. So it was in Logos of God for short. So Melchizedek priesthood can be given to an Old Testament. He was represented as a king in Salem or Salem in the just simple kingdom, and he was really high uh high predictable, or like high appointed, appointed as by God. So directly inheriting priesthood with the power of the endless life. So he has actually, if we talk about this, Jesus Christ is a permanent, for sure Jesus Christ have permanent theophany. So and for Melchizedek, he's a permanent ba siya theophany? Yeah, he has also theophany, but he should not be greater than, we can say that he will be greater than Jesus Christ, even he is old or righteous and is king, because Jesus Christ is appointed and have many ministry that experienced in long time ago. So that is all we need to discuss, and thank you very much. And if you have a question, you can put it in the comment section. Bye bye.